Final ending to the unknown one. I'm going to be slowly starting to rebuild myself. Conditions so far. STBX and I are taking the divorce, the separation, and the marriage off the table. Neither of us are emotionally stable after this, nor rebuilding is priority one. We both will remain in IC starting next month. We have to. The coping limits on both ends need to be extended. I told her that I want to be treated as a person, with feelings, instead of a punching bag. She agreed. She agreed that she's been unnecessarily cruel since the start of this. We're letting it go. The time has come to move forward, one foot in front of the other. Yesterday, I asked her about if she really meant it when she said she regretted leaving me. In her words, "I never should have left you. I had no idea things would turn this way, or that you would be left completely alone. Your family is 10 hours away, mine is right here." She said she did. She also said that she doesn't want to get back together out of guilt or pity. I told her that I don't want her to, that she should want to get back together because she wants to. I made it clear to her that we can never go back to the way things were, because the way things were is exactly why we split in the first place. She was very tearful and said that no matter what happens, she will always be my friend. I told her to stop using the word always, because it implies something without effort. She also made some things clear. There is no other relationship in sight. She wants me to get help, get better, and find my center of balance again. In her words, the you that you were the first month. You were such an amazing person, and you still are. Please don't let this define you. I gave her my wedding ring last night in my apartment. I said that this signifies my heart, and to treat it right. I said to her that I can't be kicked while I'm down any further, I can't handle it. She promised. For a start, we have a common goal, now. One crisis at a time. I spoke to her about what I have been researching regarding suicide attempt recovery. One of the tools to be used is a suicide box, a box that you fill with positive things that you look at when you feel at the edge of despair. One of the things you can put in it are index cards. The attempt survivor writes down a negative emotion on one side, while their loved one writes on the reverse reasons why that negative emotion is untrue. I was just casually explaining it to her, and I said like, if I were to write unloved, then you can. As soon as I said that, she broke down. All walls down. Zero guard. I looked over and was about to say that we don't have to do that, we can find something else, and instead, she had a crushing grip on my shoulders, sobbing. Nobody should feel unloved. Nobody. You are not unloved. Many people love you. I love you. You're important to me and many others. You aren't unloved. Not expected. Maybe she's still fighting that internal struggle. I don't know, but it's going to take a long time, for both of us. As for me, I'm currently on meds since yesterday. Has to be taken. I'm too much of a shredded mess of emotions and thoughts to try and move forward without something to help. I think my meds really sabotaged me as well, she agreed. She seemed very reluctant to leave last night. We were talking at the car for a good 15 minutes. I gave her a quick hug and let go and started backing away before she stepped forward and hugged me as tightly as she possibly could. We're possibly meeting up today so I can start prioritizing. I just really need to get away from my town for a bit. She mentioned that before the spiral, I was doing so well, and she was really enjoying spending time with me and how I was treating her, as well as her treatment of me. So, in the words of Maverick, I think I'm going to be saying this to myself for a long time until I can believe it. I see it, I got it. Here we go. More contact. She told me she doesn't want to move on. That she feels that moving on would be removing me from her life, which she doesn't want. Tried to make it abundantly clear that she walked out of our life, out of my life, and can't just walk back in at her leisure. Frustrating, difficult conversation. She even said that she's afraid to get back together because she's afraid we'll hurt each other again and end up in the same scenario. I want to be your friend. After nearly 2 hours of back and forth, I finally did it. I cut the cord. I told her I wanted no contact. She doesn't get it. I told her that she has no bearing on my life, and I should have no bearing on hers. She tries to explain that I do have bearing on her life because I'm important to her. Explained it again. Finally, just cut the cord. Told her she shouldn't be talking to me, she should be talking to her counselor. Now, to bed, where I lay here staring at the ceiling wondering if I made the right move. It's now been 1 week back home. Since I have gone to my doctor, kept my meds prescription up, got to the behavioral and wellness center to restart therapy, snagged a job, adjusted, albeit slowly, have a short-term and long-term plan for how to survive down here again. Wife still contacting. I don't remember how to not have you in my life. Going on about the deep connection that we have that transcends romantic. Yet she doesn't want a relationship with me. What is it about people that leave and then never leave us alone? I also asked her how she'd feel if I just ended up in a new relationship, and she said she'd be upset. So, hit the brakes and cut the afterburners. She'd be upset. She's the one who left. Yet she'd be upset if I moved on. I asked myself today, what do I feel for her? Ended up staying in the mirror, saying nothing. She's clinging hard, yet she didn't when I was up there. This is why I'm frustrated, not to mention angry. But as for my feelings for her, she's the one who said it best. I have no romantic feelings left for you. Well, Peaky, I feel nothing. Digging through the conversation, I found myself saying this to her. Yes, I'm important to you. So important that you don't want to maintain or repair a relationship. Do you have any idea what that sounds or feels like? You're so important to me and I love you so much, but I don't love you enough and you're not important enough to maintain a relationship with. And even though I'm sleeping with somebody else and giving my heart to somebody else, I want you to know that I love you and we'll always be friends. That one hasn't sunk in. While rooting through my attic with my father for Halloween decorations, came across a box with a lot of my stuff in it, including a letter from her while we were engaged. I find myself staring at it. The handwriting almost seems foreign. 3 months ago, I would have bawled my eyes out. We were on Skype briefly earlier tonight. For the first time, I could look at her and not see the woman who deleted our wedding album, posted all the quasi-inspirational BS, talked behind my back, lazy, unmotivated mess who didn't bother working while I was breaking myself backwards. In fact, I almost didn't recognize her at all, not even as the woman who I thought was the love of my life. I'm there. I'm actually there, moving back home. And I'm there. 4 months ago, today she left my life. And I'm there. I'm still taking stock of what I've done since I got here, and what I've accomplished thus far. What I can accomplish in the future. While she still is living with her parents, refusing to work. If I get a job, then they'll make me pay rent. They just bought a car for her. Their place was a mess when I left. It probably still is, because she refuses to get her stuff out of there and would much rather hoard it, making my life as miserable as she is. Meanwhile, I've cranked up my motivation without even realizing it, even though I'm still numb. I go tomorrow at 10 a.m. for a psych evaluation, then 1 p.m. to my new job to fill out paperwork and get ready to work on rebuilding from square one. I may live with my parents now, but the thing I'm not is a sponge. One of my friends told me something comforting. She'll never realize it, but when she does, it'll hit her like a sack of bricks. She lost a hell of a hardworking, dedicated guy that she should never have let go of. I like that. Going down to the docks tonight, taking that letter from when we were engaged, and torching it. Considering torching the wedding photo on my dresser, I decided against torching the wedding photo. Conflicting feelings about it. Didn't feel right. My wedding ring sits in the corner of the frame. In the other corner of the frame is a stone engraved with faith. What it means to me, I'm not entirely sure. I was about to dismantle the frame when I felt a pang in my chest, like some force keeping me from doing it. I tried fighting it. I couldn't. Why? Maybe it's the knowledge that she is miserable. Maybe it's knowing that if I do this, I can't take back the action. Maybe it has to do with the fact that no matter how upset, hurt, angry I am at myself or her, and everything that's happened and how it turned out, that I can't do it. Torching the photo. Burning a piece of history, knowing that once it's turned to ash, it can never be put back together. I'm undecided at the moment. She did a lot of reminiscing last night during a conversation. For a marriage that was supposedly miserable, she sure had no problem going on about things she loved. I don't know what to make of it anymore, and I guess I'm doing all right. Wife and I are meeting up in February. Outcome is anybody's guess. I have also been diagnosed with a disorder and major depressive disorder. Both are being treated. I may have found somebody new, but the guilt pangs of still being married are there. I can't find it in me to pull the trigger on this one. We're both going through a rough time at the moment. Low point in both of our lives. Not sure what to do here. People tell me that I deserve to be happy, but my moral sense is screaming at me not to do this until the D is set in motion. But at the same time, I don't know when that will be. I feel chained. To be honest, I don't feel ready at all. And I don't want to initiate the divorce myself. It's something that I never wanted. She can do that if she really wants it. Too many feelings bounced around. Admittedly, I have too much on my plate. I really don't know how I can progress forward. My reevaluation has given me an ugly diagnosis. Bipolar 1. Needless to say, I'm not happy. The other issue is also my estranged wife. She seems a bit too curious about my treatment and whatnot. This was after telling me that she couldn't begin to think about us getting back together until after my treatment. I haven't pressed the issue, if only because I don't want to know the answer why right now. I have another ex, my ex before my wife, who would like to meet up for coffee. It's been years since we've seen each other. Interestingly enough, my wife took my diagnosis in stride. I was misdiagnosed first time around. I'm now sort of scared to get into anything new. Even with everything that had happened, she's the only one I think I could actually trust, considering that she lived with me before and knows the signs. This sucks. One of our mutual friends is attempting to get us back together. 6 months until the D is able to be processed. Don't know what the future will bring. Things between us are pretty decent at the moment. The conversations are casual and lighthearted. She's going through a rough time at the moment with her education, so I've been a source of support. She's been wholeheartedly supportive of my sobriety, and it's nearly half a year. One thing is for sure, I hate being back in the US. I also have a friend, whom I'm reevaluating a friendship with, who is wholly negative and is really getting under my skin, even going so far as to say that one of our friends won't last with his girlfriend because she's what he wants, not what he needs. Yet this guy has no valid relationship in sight. I'm not content here. This state is a vortex, everything's stupid expensive, and to top it off, this isn't home. Depending on how things go between wife and I may be headed back up next year. My parents are well aware. I just have no hope of anything. I crashed hard during outpatient yesterday and now they think I'm suicidal. So this really isn't how I want to spend my week getting constant calls for support. Update. The D, provided she does go through with it, would be in 5 months. I've been job hunting like crazy out here and looking to move back to Ontario. She's been failing in school and is overall miserable. No OM yet. No O for me. We've started texting each other recently. For her adamant we're just friends argument, she sure is doing a good job of keeping me as heavily involved in her life as I was when we were together. Job hunt panned out. I have a job that I start on Monday after today's interview. Should be easy to save some money. By my calculations, I'll be bringing in a little over $1,000 a month, so I'll be stockpiling my cash until then. She has no idea that I plan to move back. The idea came up in a talk once where she said she'd support whatever I do, but that's about it. It'd be a hell of a surprise, that's for sure. A few months later, I ended up taking a full sabbatical from the net for a few months after finding out some information regarding the ex-wife. A good friend of mine happened to be in the same Facebook group that she was in for mental health support. What she caught was my ex not only vilifying me with utter falsehoods all over the board, while we still together, no less, to documenting my emotional roller coaster and my flaming tail spin for all to see, laughter and glee included. I was shocked. I even hit full denial, thinking that it was completely impossible for her to lie about me, about us. So, in my absence, I took up some intensive self-hypnosis and meditation. After my mind was cleared, I'd go back through the last 6.5 years of our relationship and found that not a lot of the pieces fit. So, I delved deeper into our 13-year friendship. Not a lot matching up either. After sitting down at the park, doing my normal pre-meditation, it dawned on me. I married a pathological liar. She was confronted about this on Monday, attempted to deflect the entire conversation, used screenshotted evidence sent from my friend. She had nowhere to turn. She admitted it, all of it. As a result, I told her that because she lied the entire time, she clearly never existed. And since she never existed, there's no possible way that we were friends, because my friend wasn't my friend at all. Just like we couldn't have dated, because the person I gave my heart to was never there. Just like we were never married, because the wife I pledged my life to was fully synthetic. We had a long conversation following the execution of our friendship, which I pulled the trigger on. She's bumming out of college. She had a short relationship with somebody who was just using her as a diversion because he and his girlfriend were on break. Her life is starting to crumble because she will soon have to pay off a student loan that she has no money for. But the biggest admission of all was this. You were always supportive and always in my corner, and all I did was hurt you. Nothing will take that back, but I am sorry. Told her that the damage was done, that I no longer see the woman of my dreams when I see pictures of her. I told her that my level of trust for her has been shattered beyond repair, so far that I even began to second-guess and reevaluate every friendship I ever had. Never again. Facebook pictures have been deleted. Letters, torched, her, unfriended. It's now been 2 days since. I spent a sleepless Monday night reading over every post on my Facebook, ones where I proudly proclaimed how lucky I was to have such an amazing wife. Posts of our infinite endless jokes, with comments from our friends and family of how wonderful of a couple we were. Posts on my wall from her stating that she'd be late coming home but was planning on picking up dinner on the way. Posts sent to hers telling her that her day will get better, that I love her, and the cats are rooting for her. Closing the coffin that was our 13-year friendship hurt. Kate came at a very dark time in my life where I had basically given up on people altogether. Somehow, she became that tiny sliver of hope that I had, and I hung onto it like a lifeline. To know that somebody who was so dear to me that I would give my life for her could turn out to be a total fake hurt me more than the separation ever did. Next month will be 1 year. As for me, I've become rather flirtatious with an old classmate from high school, and she's been reciprocating it. Might give it a try when the opportunity arises. It's weird. I always thought that ending things the way they did would have certainly killed me emotionally. I think it did more damage to her than it did to me. I'm keeping my head above water for now. Don't think I'll be heading back to Canada to live ever again. Though, Jessica and I discussed the possibility of going up there to visit at some point. So, who knows? Maybe I'll hang on to my Canadian docs. Found out through a mutual friend that she's still speaking behind my back. Now it's about how much of a horrible person I am. Right. Set the record straight with said friend. Included previous conversations with my ex-captor. Some gems. He kept harassing me to get a job and kept saying he needed to get his knee fixed. She was being harassed to get a job because A, she wasn't contributing, and B, I was to the point where arthroscopic procedures were going to be inevitable if it didn't improve. Mind you, 50 hours a week on a concrete floor and shredded joint cartilage. Yeah, they don't mix. He never supported me. He never cared about my education. That's priceless. She was the one who always was putting herself down and claiming her work was terrible. I was the one who was telling her the exact opposite. For what it's worth, she has no art experience or education before her graphic design course, and she did incredibly well. We also went to an art gallery last year in St. Catharines that was showcasing the Niagara College grad students' work. This conversation took place. This stuff is so amazing. Makes me feel insignificant. Who are you kidding? You can easily hang with these people. You just have to realize it. Look, I know that this time next year we'll be looking at your work on the wall. B. Covers mouth in shock but gasp. I'm unsupportive. Moving on. He never gave a damn about my thoughts or feelings on things, only he mattered. Oh, my God. For those that don't know, I married an animal rights vegetarian. Guess what I gave up for her? Very rarely ate meat, and usually not in front of her. She said fishing was cruel. I respected her disdain for it and didn't fish anymore. When preparing meals, I made them completely vegetarian and devoid of any byproduct of a dead animal. Did I mention I'm the only one who cooked? I got my residency. We had a plan to work together and save up our cash for a year. She decided to welch on that and go to school. No big, I love being on a single income and breaking myself backwards to make ends meet. She hated war movies. I didn't watch them. She had a big issue with veal. I didn't consume it. Things she didn't like, I wouldn't support or do. But hey, what do I know? I'm only the world's worst husband. He just sat around while we waited for his papers. He didn't do anything. While I did admit my own mistakes and take responsibility for them, this isn't one of them. If anything, it's major projection on her part, whose day went like this. Wake up at 7:30 a.m., knowing we had to be up at 7. Mutter about how she doesn't remember when she went to bed. Facebook knows better. Her last posts of the night were usually around 3 to 4 a.m. Take a shower until 7:50 a.m. Come downstairs to a running, cleaned off, warmed up car at 8 a.m. I had to be at work by this time, not in my parking lot. Drop me off at work, give me a kiss, and head to either school or her parents' house. Spend the time at school ignoring the professor and being on Facebook. Spend the time at home ignoring everybody and being on Facebook. Pick me up, we both go home. Goes on Facebook while running Netflix on the TV. No, baby, I didn't want to watch that hockey game, not at all. Eats dinner after I cook it. Here, she was actually grateful. At times I would get a you don't have to do this every night, baby. But after we split, I cooked her dinner once while we were watching a movie, and she said, you are and always will be the best cook I know. Continues to do both activities, sometimes mixing in schoolwork with it. Says goodnight as I go to bed, then stays up until 3 to 4 a.m. again. Repeat. And somehow, I quote him the reason we lived like roommates. He was controlling. I had no freedom. I'm going to hang out with my mom tonight. Sorry, I know we were going to watch movies, but no biggie. I'll keep myself occupied. Have fun. Going out with some friends from school. Sorry you can't come along, baby. Don't worry about it. I was going to link up with my squadron on Ace Combat anyway. I'm sorry I spend so much time with my family. I feel bad because you only get to see your family once a year. Hey, it's your family. I would never keep you from seeing your family. You're an amazing husband. I feel like I'm walking all over you sometimes. Nah, you're not. You have to have a life outside of me, right silly? Yeah, I was a controlling jerk. Such a horrible, black soul resides inside me, clearly sucking hers out by allowing her to have a social life and spending copious amounts of time with everybody who wasn't me. Other side of the coin. We're not going to have veal in the fridge. It's cruel. We only buy shampoo that isn't tested on animals. I don't care how good it smells. No, I don't want to live in Niagara Falls. I lived there my whole life. So, what if the apartment is cheaper and bigger than this one? You need to be on meds. Love this one. She decided to come off of hers and it drove her off the deep end, but refused to go back on them to stabilize. Don't kiss me after eating marshmallows. If you're going to eat meat, then brush your teeth before you want to kiss me. No, we're not getting a Civic. I don't want a Civic. I don't care how long they last. I want to move to Toronto because that's where all the jobs are. Jobs for her, mind you. I could rot. Yep, clearly, I had the upper hand in this unholiest of unholy marriage. More to come, but read, laugh, and enjoy. I'm so detached that I don't even get angry when I hear about these things. I just laugh. And it never ends. I find the most amusing part of a walkaway spouse is that once they're out, they'll say and do anything to make themselves look good. She knows better than to talk to people who were close enough to us to actually see what was going on. I moved up there for her. Took a while to get my papers, with which I worked off the books. While this was going on, she was incredibly proud of me. Once I caught her talking crap behind my back, she left me. Of course, she had to do damage control, and her version of damage control is vilifying her ex so that she can be justified in leaving. That's why I'm enjoying this so much, because the lies are so obvious. I'm now smack dab in the middle of a history rewrite. This is actually less infuriating and more pathetic, entertaining, if anything. I have to admit, I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. Even my ex pre-marriage is rather stunned by this. We're very, very close friends due to the breakup being easy for the two of us to get through. I'm almost tempted to write out the entire history rewrite. Some of the changes are so off the wall it's not even funny. I'm not exactly concerned, per se. I'm not losing sleep over this BS. I am thoroughly entertained at how much of an ass she's making of herself. In fact, one of my guilty pleasures is now jacking into an alternate Facebook and checking out hers for laughs. The rewrites are astonishing sometimes, and her enabling best friend is always there to keep the delusions going. Add on to that the fact that she thinks our mutual friends, read, my friends that she so happened to meet and then ignore, won't get back to me with what she's saying, and when she's confronted, she whines about lack of privacy and no respect for private conversations. I'm telling you, it doesn't get much better than this. She's like a living, breathing case study in both psychology and sociology. Shot her a quick message today, since she's so proud of moving on and is definitely going to file. When you file for the D, please give me a heads up so I can get my lawyer at the ready. Thanking you in advance. And a hush falls over the message box. Update, she's got the D papers and is filling them out. I've given up all thoughts of a R, but that isn't making this any easier. Just when I thought I was good to go, just when I felt that I could make it. Anybody else in this spot? How did you get through it? What was once rosy now looks bleak. I put everything I had into our marriage and fought like a cornered fox during the separation. When I found out what I did about her, most feelings went right out the window. Still doesn't make the hurt go away. The betrayal is worse than the separation, I think. I know I'll be fine. I have somebody interested in me, which is great. I'm trying to keep the STBX out of my mind. But with the D rolling around the corner, it's hard to. I think the big man upstairs just threw me a bone. This day suddenly got better after linking up with the girl I had a crush on since 2nd grade. Finding out she felt the same. Finding out she has feelings for me now, and now we're going out. Life works in weird ways. I still can't make heads or tails of today. For what it's worth, she had no problem sleeping with somebody 4 months after we split. I can't sit around forever. I'm tired of moping about the D, and I'm tired of having her on my mind. It's about time I moved on. 12 days until it's filing time. I feel sick. I'm actually finding that the less I care, the angrier I get. I've even let that anger spill out onto here. I feel so unbelievably jilted. In order to stave this off, I've been sliding back into my Parker free running regimen. I have a nice picture on my Instagram from a rather high ledge. Today's session was like every other, just pick up speed and get over, under, and around obstacles efficiently. Somewhere along the way, I happened across the strip mall with a rather high roof. Took it upon myself to get up there, hopped a few roofs, and got to the highest point. I was going to take a picture from there as proof of my triumph until I paused, and that thought hit me. This would be high enough to kill me if I landed just right. No picture. Slowly backed away from the edge and headed home. I'm now sitting in my room on my bed, and my mind keeps racing back to that moment. I guess I just don't understand why I'm feeling this way. I've even gone so far as to hate her guts for a while in the hopes that I would get used to it. Broke down crying today. I have no reminders of her, but my thoughts won't stop. I miss my cats. I miss my rabbit. I miss my job. I miss our apartment. I miss long walks around our city. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last. My comment: it is normal to miss your life. However, you make your current and future life better and you will not miss your old life. That is how you truly move on from the past.